Welcome to Tier 9 of the urban legend Iceberg. If you want to see the original image of the iceberg, you can look in the description below and find the original Reddit post where the user DarkMoon230 originally posted this image on Reddit. They are a close friend to me, and I would appreciate it if you gave them some kind of shout out or commented on their Reddit post. Thank you. Let's explore the iceberg. According to this urban legend, there have been numerous gas or petrol pumps that have been infected with needles inserted into the pumping grip, which causes the unsuspecting victim to be infected by the disease HIV, hepatitis, or other life-changing diseases. It is said that the perpetrators commit to this crime because they are merely looking for somewhere to leave their needles without being caught, or they are in fact trying to maliciously infect as many people as possible with the disease. Apparently there have been reports of similar infections in coin slots, cinema and theatre seats, and payphone slots. It's also been reported that the perpetrators might also leave behind a message similar to the urban legends like AIDS Mary or AIDS Harry, which will say something along the lines of "Welcome to the wonderful world of AIDS" or "Welcome to the HIV positive family." It seems that the origin point to several of these urban legends goes back to France, where the boss of a company sent out an employee motto warning them about theatre seats which could be possibly infected with needles from AIDS or HIV patients. The employees sent out this report to the press without any authentication from anyone higher up, which might have caused this urban legend to spread around more. However, there hasn't been any proof that this article ever existed. This legend is about a rumour that was circulating around the BlackBerry phone forums between the year of 2012 to 2013. It was said that if you called the emergency service number in your country, then it would charge your phone up to its maximum percentage, because there was a hidden part of your phone's battery that would activate in these dire circumstances, such as needing to contact these emergency services. Of course, this wasn't true, and it was just wasting emergency workers' time having to respond to every single one of these calls. Another superstition arose in 2015, where apparently if you told Siri to charge your phone to 100%, it would call the emergency services immediately and charge your phone fully. This case was actually proved partially true, as it did actually call the emergency services if you said this to Siri. Of course, this was fixed immediately by Apple within the same day, but both cases still persist to this day around small, unknowing online communities. This entry already refers to an urban legend I've already covered in my Fact or Fiction series, but I'll go over the brief details here. In case you're interested, please check out my more in-depth video. In the 90s, there was a string of witness accounts across the UK who claimed that people claiming to be social workers were entering into their houses and checked their children for any signs of abuse. When these visitors would appear, there were usually red flags to show that these were not actually social workers, but more in fact, child kidnappers. Witnesses often stated that the car they came in would have someone inside it who didn't really look that professional, and would often be seen doing something that a social worker wouldn't do, such as smoking. These social workers would also never show their identification to the homeowners, which would cause more suspicion, as every single social worker would always carry around their ID. None of these homeowners have ever let these phantom social workers take their children outside of their house, as it is said that they would kidnap them and they would never be heard from again. There have been several close encounters though, such as a phantom social worker being asked to come inside, but instead walking out into the rainy night alone. Another case features a phantom social worker making a quick getaway in a car, full of 3 to 4 men. The most terrifying case features a phantom social worker trying to break into a house, with the mum barely being able to stop them from entering. After the 90s, there have been brief appearances of the phantom social workers who still patrol around, searching for a vulnerable parent, foolish enough to bring them into their house to inspect their children. Aby Regl Masloukha is a creature which resides in Egyptian folklore. This creature has been described as being a human, a member of the undead, or an entirely unique monstrosity altogether. It's said that parents warn their children that if they misbehave, then Aby Regl Masloukha will visit them in the night. This legend says that this creature only has one leg, or that his other leg is missing, terribly burnt or broken. It's said that if a child doesn't mend their ways, then this creature will visit this child in the dead of night and kidnap them. It's said that this creature will steal one of their legs and return them to their house before dawn. However, it's stated that this creature might grow attached to this child, and if it does, then it could have this child for a very long time. This rumour states that in the year 1968, Jimi Hendrix released 2 green parrots into the skies of London in the name of peace, which is said to have boomed off the newfound population of green parrots in London's Regent Park. However, this rumour is untrue, just like the one about George Michael having an argument with Boy George and breaking their green parrot's cage, releasing them into London. As well as the rumour that after the production of The African Queen, the cast of birds were released into the surrounding environment of London. It's also stated that these birds have been spotted in London as far back as 1855 and was added to by a storm in Britain known as the Great Storm in 1987, when a birdhouse was badly damaged and released their wild inhabitants into the London wilderness. With this entry, I'd like to bring attention to 2 different urban legends about KFC apparently using an extra ingredient in their food. The first goes that KFC have been using genetically altered chicken, which have no beaks, feathers, or legs. Apparently KFC has been doing this for a long time, and continue to do so as it keeps costs down and makes sure that they can produce more of their product from these genetically modified chickens. This legend also states that in the KFC commercials, you will never hear the word chicken mentioned, which makes sure that they can't get sued for mislabeling what they're selling. The other urban legend surrounding KFC is a more conventionally told urban legend about a couple going to the movies in their car with the lights off. Whilst they're tucking into their KFC, the woman notices that the chicken doesn't taste right, and discovers that she's been eating a deep-fried rat the whole time, which crept into the deep fryer. An Australian version of this urban legend goes that a man walked up to the counter of his local KFC and says, "This is the last one I catch before you pay me," before handing the staff a large possum. This urban legend is kind of nostalgic to me, as it was the first urban legend on my channel that I covered, but that video is pretty bad, so I'm gonna redo it now. The baby train is an urban legend about how couples used to live near railway lines would have nothing to do after they've been woken up by the train at 6 AM, and since work started at 7 AM, then they would try to keep the birth rate up in the local area. These areas are stated to have a much higher birth rate than those without train tracks next to them, which is why this particular train is called the baby train. Another urban legend similar to this is the urban legend of the Blackout babies, which refers to a couple who have seemingly nothing else to do than create children whilst their power is out, and whilst their entrances and exits to their building are blocked off by snow. So they decide to pass the time another way. I would love to see your opinions in the comment section below on what you thought my video was like. Thank you so much for watching, and goodbye.